بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بهديهم إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, starting off from the book رسالة في الفقه الميسر of Sheikh Salih Sadlan Hafidhullah Ta'ala. It's a book that he wrote for the Muslim minorities that were living in the previous Soviet Union. The Muslims from Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, the different countries that were a part of the previous USSR, in which were a great amount of Muslims, but they were still under the control of non-Muslims. And he wrote a simple, basic textbook for them to have an introductory understanding of fiqh, of the rules, of the laws, the do's, the don'ts, the halal and the haram, or you may say Islamic jurisprudence. Alhamdulillah, the book has been translated several times, I believe, into several different languages as well. The chapter that we're going to read from briefly this morning, inshallah ta'ala, the author, he says, Zakatul-Fitr. He says, Zakatul-Fitr, something which we call Zakatul-Fitr. Or some people may say, Sadaqatul-Fitr. Or some people may even say, Zakatul-Fitra. Or Sadaqatul-Fitra. Zakatul-Fitr. He says, Hikmatuha. Min hikmati Zakatul-Fitr. أنها تطهر نفس الصائم مما يكون قد علق بها من آثار اللغو والرفث كما أنها تغني الفقراء والمساكين عن السؤال يوم العيد. He says, as far as the wisdom behind Zakatul Fitr, what is the wisdom? What is the reason why we pay Zakatul Fitr? Or in a more appropriate question, what are some of the reasons? Only Allah truly knows why He legislates things. As Allah tells us in the Quran, وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِهِ عِلْمًا. No one can encompass Allah Azza wa Jal, and no one can surround and envelop Allah's knowledge and have full understanding of why Allah does things. لَا يُسْأَلُ عَمَّا يُفْعَلُ وَهُمْ يُسْأَلُونَ. Allah says Allah is not asked about what He does, but the slaves and the servants, they're asked about what they do. So from the wisdoms of Zakat al-Fitr, he says two things. Number one is to purify those who are fasting, to cleanse them, to clean them. Now you may say, I just fasted for 30 days, 29 days. How much dirt is on me? I prayed at night, I fasted in the daytime, I read the Quran, I gave to the poor people, I stayed away from the haram things, I stayed away from the halal things. So how dirty is the fasting person going to be? He says, from void talk, from idle talk, from chit-chat, from gossip, which many people, if not most people, do when they're fasting one way or another. Talk about a game, talk about a president, talk about a politician, talk about this one or that one. Let alone some of us who may actually backbite and continue to backbite people in Ramadan, or to make fun of people in Ramadan, and to laugh at people, and to mock people, and to jest at people. But at best, the one who fasted, he protected him herself from ghiba, from namima. But he says, athar al-laghaw wa rafath is small talk. Talk that was small, that you shouldn't have said, that didn't have no immediate benefit. So that's the first fa'idah of Zakat al-Fitr. Zakat al-Fitr is like the final cleansing. It's like the final wash. After you've been washed in Ramadan, this is the final wash and the final polish. You go into the car wash. They have the big things hitting the car, scrubbing the car, sudsing down the car, scrubbing off the car. And then outside at the car wash, you have the people with the what? With the rags and the towels. And then you have the people with the spray, spraying the rims, spraying the tires, making sure that the car is what? Spotless, clean inside with the vacuum, squeaky clean. Clean on the inside and clean on the what? On the outside. But most of the dust and the dirt and the big things were wiped away by the big wipers inside. But there's still what? Athar. There's still crumb under the seats. There's coins, there's things in the dashboard, there's things that are still dirty. So that's the final seal. The final cleansing, the final waxing is Zakatul Fitr. And this, without a doubt, is tremendous wisdom. And it's also tremendous mercy. How Allah gives us an entire month to do good, and He gives us a small, simple piece and portion of money that you give that has such a profound effect on your body and on your soul. The second wisdom behind Zakatul Fitr, he says, is that it keeps the poor Muslims, the needy Muslims, from having to beg on the day of Eid. Of all of the days in which they're hungry or needy, they need basic things, at least not on the day of the Eid. And it's also another major wisdom and that is to want with your brother what you want for yourself. Who wants to be begging on a holiday? Who wants to be begging on a day when we're supposed to be full of fun, full of joy, full of bliss? And if a person is poor 364 days out of the year, then at least allow them to feel rich or to feel self-sufficient for one day. And that's also tremendous wisdom. And once again, just like we said, that is putting the final polishing on your Ramadan as well. Because from the wisdoms of fasting is that it makes you relate to your poor brother. It forces you to relate to your poor sister in Islam. You may be rich, you may be wealthy. You give sadaqah, you give zakat, you help people out. But you can't necessarily all the time relate to someone who's poor and who actually is thirsty when they want to drink, when it's permissible to drink. A person wants to get married, but they can't. A person wants to eat food, they want to eat till they fill, but they can't because they don't have the money. So no matter how generous you are, you don't always necessarily have the ability to relate to those who are poor. It's something you just can't relate to. You can read about it. Allah says in the Quran, but you can't actually relate to it. Someone that was in jail, that was locked up, it's easy to look down upon that person. Oh, you're a criminal. Oh, you were in jail. You were doing this, you were doing that. But until you're in jail and you're in the system and you're incarcerated, you cannot relate to the person that was once in jail. It's just impossible. You can read about it, but it's not the same as your freedom being taken away from you. So therefore, when you fast, no matter how much sadaqah and zakat you give, you are now forced to relate to poor people. You now know what it feels like to be hungry. You now know what it feels like to be thirsty in 90-degree weather. You now feel what it or know you now know what it feels like to want to fulfill your sexual desires in a permissible way, but you can't. Just like the brother who's poor, he can't get married. So now for you have a wife, but you can't go near your wife. So you now have a greater sense, inshallah, of compassion, a greater sense of mercy and pity for those Muslims who are poor. And as we said briefly with the example of incarceration, it's very, very easy to scorn someone. It's very easy to make fun of someone. It's very easy to say, oh, subhanAllah, how did Fulan do that? What was Fulan thinking? What was he doing? Kayf. But until you're in that situation, you do not know how it feels to be in that situation. So these are the two main wisdoms of Zakatul-Fitr. Once again, number one is to cleanse your fast, to purify you from not ghiba, not namima, but the actual laghu and rafath, the idle talk, the talk that has no benefit. A joke, you said this, you weren't here, we talked about this, so on and so forth. That everybody, what? In most cases, they do these things, except for the people that Allah Azza wa Jalla has mercy upon. And the second benefit is to be merciful to your brother and sister in Islam and to keep them from being poor on the day of the Eid. The author, Hafidhullah, then says, مقدارها وأنواع الأطعمة التي تخرج منها. He says the amount of Zakatul Fitr, the amount, how much is to be given, a pound, 2 pounds, 5 pounds, a barrel, a bucket, ounce. He says, and what type of foodstuffs can you pay Zakatul Fitr with? What types of ta'am, what types of foodstuffs are you allowed to give in Zakatul Fitr? He says, مقدار زكاة الفطر صاع والصاع 4 أمداد ويقدر الصاع ب3 كيلوات تقريبا وتخرج من غالب قوت أهل البلد سواء كان قمحا أو تمرا أو أرزا أو زبيبا أو أقطا. He says the amount of Zakatul Fitr that is to be given is a sa'. And a sa' is an ancient measurement, a prophetic measurement that is 4 scoops, 4 hand scoops, 4 hand scoops of some type of grain. He says, and this approximately equals 3 kilograms. 3 kilograms. How many, Sheikh Khan, how many pounds is 3 kilograms? 2.2 pounds. Everybody understand this? He says, and the staple food of the country is that which should be given, whether it's wheat, whole wheat flour, whether it's dates, dry dates, whether it's rice, whether it's raisins, whether it's cottage cheese, dried yogurt, or whatever the case may be. In America, it may be rice. Could be what? Could be rice. Could be cream of wheat. Could be oatmeal. One could possibly say cereal. Something that you can survive off of. It may not be the best food, but if you had some oatmeal, you won't starve. You won't go hungry no matter what. As long as you can boil it and cook it. If you had butter, margarine, brown sugar. But if you just had hot water and oatmeal, you could what? You could live, you could survive. Everybody understand this? So So the author, he says that Zakatul-Fitr should be given in foodstuffs. Is it permissible to give it in money? Is it permissible to put it in an envelope and put it in a box or a bucket or a jar or hand it to a brother with a bucket saying, Fi sabilillah, is that permissible? That's the first question. Second question is, if it's permissible, is that the sunnah? That's the second question. And the third question is, if it is permissible, does it give the same amount of symbolicism as you going to the store yourself, digging the grain yourself, weighing the grain yourself, and dropping off the bag at the poor person's house yourself? Everybody understand this? These are three critical questions. As far as the first question, is it permissible to give Zakatul-Fitr in foodstuffs? The most of the fuqaha, they held the view is that it is impermissible and that it is invalid to give Zakatul-Fitr with other than foodstuffs. Most of the ulama, not all of them, most of them, they held the view that it is haram, la yajuz, la tasih. It is invalid to give Zakatul-Fitr with money. You cannot use currency. And there are other ulama, such as Imam Ahmad fi riwayah, such as Imam al-Bukhari, كما قالوا, such as Hassan al-Basri, كما قالوا, such as Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, كما قالوا, and also some even say Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala, they say that these ulama, they held the view is that it was permissible to give Zakatul-Fitr with currency. They said it's permissible to give it in currency. So therefore, bid'inai ta'ala, the safest thing that you should do is give it in food stuff. That's the first issue, in brief, bikhtisar and shadid. Number two, if it is permissible, is it the sunnah? The Prophet ﷺ, he told the people to give it in grain, food stuff. Gold was present on the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Silver was present on the Prophet ﷺ. Yet and still he said what? He commanded with food stuff. Something that's dry, something that can be stored, something that can be put up. So whether it's halal, haram, valid or invalid, what the Prophet said is food stuff. And it's always best to avoid the khilaf. Last but not least is, many Muslims, there is no doubt, whether you like it or not, the truth is the truth. It's very easy and convenient to put some money in an envelope and put it in a box. And oftentimes we'll say it can be a means of lethargy and laziness. It's simple and easy. Wait till the last minute, take a couple dollars out of my wallet, stuff it, khalas, I'm done, finished. But it actually takes a type of time or a piece of time. It takes some type of effort. It takes your mind to be conscious of going to the store, stopping your busy day and actually scooping it and packing it and weighing how many people you have in your family. I have 3 wives, I have 10 children, I have 2 stepchildren. I have 1 wife, I have 3 children. You have to count 3 kilometers, 2.5 pounds for each person, for each head. And you have to figure out, oatmeal, rice, and whole wheat flour. What mathalan? And you going to the store, taking your kids with you, packing it up, and searching for the poor Muslims, looking for the poor Muslims. At worst, going to the center, the masjid, in which there is a depository for the bags of food. Khairan, inshallah. We're not here to discuss this issue in detail. This is what the author says. We've talked about that before in other classes, lectures, and even khutbahs. Moving forward. The author, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, says, وَوَقْتُ وُجُوبِهَا وَوَقْتُ إِخْرَاجِهَا تجب زكاة الفطر بحلول ليلة العيد وأوقات إخراجها وقت جواز وهو إخراجها قبل يوم العيد بيوم أو يومين لفعل ابن عمر ذلك ووقت أداء فاضل وهو من طلوع فجر يوم العيد إلى قبيل الصلاة لأمره صلى الله عليه وسلم بزكاة الفطر أن تؤدى قبل خروج الناس إلى الصلاة. He then says, when do you pay Zakatul-Fitr? When is the time of paying Zakatul-Fitr? He says, Zakatul-Fitr must be paid on the eve of the Eid. On the eve of the Eid, which means the night before the Eid. Now, like we say, the eve of what? Christmas. Christmas Eve. This is very important. It's very important for us to understand this because, as we said before, many times we become bewildered with terms. We lose focus of actual English. Many of us, people that are from America, born in America, who used to be non-Muslims, they think that the English language is total garbage. And everything has to be translated and Arabicized. And that's a khata, it's a ghalat. And if you don't understand what an Eve is, then there are many Islamic rulings that you do not or cannot properly establish, such as Jumu'ah, such as this, and many other things. What's meant by Eve? Eve is the Islamic concept of the day and the night. In Islam, the night comes before what? The day. Like Qiyam, like Taraweeh, like I'tikaf. Before the what? Before the daytime. You make the Taraweeh before you fast. That's because it's the eve of Ramadan. Everybody understand this? It's the what? It's the eve of what? It's the eve of Ramadan, the night before. Everybody clear, this is extremely important. If you say the night of the Eid, then that means what in English? Abadan, no way. Not in English. Maybe in Arabic that's translated into English, that's what that means. But in English, Merriam-Webster, that means what? The night, this is more confusing. The night of the same day. That means after the what? After the Eid. The sun has set upon the what? The Eid. That's the night of the? Everybody understand this? And if not, you say the night before the Eid. Like to say the night before Christmas. This is important. We're not talking about celebrating Christmas, Christianity. We're talking about language combined with what? Culture. Language with what? Culture. Just like in Islam, you read the poetry. They say a camel. They say kada. They say kada. The language is combined with what? Culture. With the culture. And it's not separated. You understand the Arabic language through the what? The culture of the Arabs. And the same applies to the United States of America. You have to understand the language with the what? The culture of the people. So he says you must give Zakatul-Fitr at least by the what? Or it becomes mandatory when? Hey, wow. Everybody understand this? The night before the Eid. He then says, and there are two different categories of the time of paying Zakatul-Fitr. Two categories. The first category is waqtul jawaz. It's a time in which it's permissible. Everybody clear on this? He says here, and the second time is, he says here, and this is 1 or 2 days before the Eid. 1 or 2 days before the Eid. It's not obligatory to give Zakatul-Fitr 1 or 2 days before the Eid, but it's what? Permissible. It's what? Permissible. To be a little ahead of the pack. And he says this is based off of what Abdullah ibn Umar used to do. He then says, in the second category, he says, waqtu ada'in fadilin is the preferable time of giving Zakatul-Fitr. Not obligatory, but what? Preferable. He says, and that is before the Fajr, before Fajr comes in of the morning of the Eid. From the time of Fajr coming in, all the way up until what? The Salah is performed. Until the Salah is what? Performed. The Salah is before the? Not before the Eid. It's the Eid already. It's before the what? The Salah is before the? La ilaha illallah, Sheikh Uncle Empty. It's before the khutbah. No, you got it. The Salatul Eid is before what? We got before the khutbah. Everybody clear this morning. It's before the what? Before the khutbah. It's very important to be clear, to be sharp, because in most cases the khutbah is what? Or the salah is what? After the khutbah. That's every single week. The salah is what? After the khutbah, not today. So therefore, that is from, he says it's best to delay the salat, the Zakatul-Fitr up until the last minute. And that is from Fajr time before the what? La ilaha illallah. Before the what? Before the what? The khutbah or the salah always. This is why we always tell him, Sheikh Zakaria, we always what? Repeat it. We always make examples. We always make metaphors. Mufti's just wasting time. He's trying to be funny. He just wants to keep talking. No, it's a what? It's a wisdom in this, and repetition. Everyone understand this? Until it becomes instinctive, you don't have to think about it. You've been trained to what? Answer it on the spot. Before the salah, not before the khutbah. Once the khutbah is started, the salah is what? Finished. And you have a problem. You have a what? You have a problem. Everybody clear on this or not? Before the what? He's about to say khutbah again. Tayyib, moving forward. The author, rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says, and that is because the Prophet ﷺ, he commanded the people to pay the Zakatul-Fitr before the people go out to the salah, and not the what? Khutbah. On Friday Jumu'ah, you go out to the what? Khutbah, to sit in the khutbah. Wait, listen to the khutbah, then you pray. Not on salah, not the day of the Eid. He says here, من تجب عليه زكاة الفطر تجب على كل مسلم حر أو عبد ذكر أو أنثى صغير أو كبير فضل عن قوت يومه وليلته ويستحب إخراجها عن الجنين في بطن أمه. He says Zakatul-Fitr is mandatory upon each and every Muslim, whether they're free or whether they're in bondage, free man or slave, as long as they're Muslim, male or female, big or small, young or old, anyone who has enough food for the day of the Eid and the night of the Eid, then he must give what? Zakat al-Fitr. In other words, a person could receive it and also give it. He got so much Zakat al-Fitr, he now has enough food for the day of the Eid and the night of Eid. He now does what? He pays it as well. Everybody clear on this? He says here, and it's recommended to pay Zakat al-Fitr for the baby in the belly. The bun baking in the oven. He says what? It's recommended to pay zakat for a woman who's what? Who's pregnant. Everybody clear on this? He says, last but not least, Masrif wa Zakatul Fitr. Who is Zakatul Fitr to be paid to? Who are the recipients of Zakatul Fitr? Masrif wa Zakatul Fitr كمصرف الزكوات العامة غير أن الفقراء والمساكين أولى بها من باقي السهام لقوله صلى الله عليه وسلم أغنوهم عن السؤال في هذا اليوم. He says, last but not least, the recipients of Zakatul Fitr are like the recipients of normal zakat. How many recipients are there for zakat? 8. Good. 8 people. 8 types of people. The first is what? Poor. Number 2. Needy. Number 3.
People who don't have.
Yeah, that's khalas. What's the third category? This is basic ABC Islam. Every Muslim should know. Every Muslim should what? Should know. Tayyib. Number 3 is what? Safraz. Talib. Traveler. Wayfarer. Tayyib. Labas. Tayyib. Non-order. Wayfarer. We have 3. Number 4.
Yatim.
Not the yatim. Abadan. Not the pregnant.
Miskin.
We mentioned miskin already. We mentioned fuqara already. Tayyib. Someone whose heart is inclined towards Islam. Khair, inshallah. 5. Those who administer the zakah. وَالْعَامِلِينَ عَلَيْهَا. Those who are in charge of it as long as they don't have a normal stipend. That's 6. Uncle MT came in clutch twice. Bailed you guys out. Got 2 more. Those who have debts. وَالْغَارِمِينَ. Ahsant. Last but not least, number 8. وَفِي الرِّقَابِ. Those in bondage. How many did we mention so far? We're missing. That's only 7. And then we have what? وَفِي الرِّقَابِ. Those who are in bondage. And last, we said what? What? فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Those who fight in what? Jihad. The cause of Allah. Jihad fi sabilillah. I didn't hear you, Sheikh, wallahi. No, I didn't hear you. Whether it is, I thought you said jahilin. Tayyib. Khair, inshallah. I misheard you. Whether it's jihad with the sword and the spear, or any other mechanism of destruction, or whether it's jihad with the pen and the paper, such as dawah, a markaz, a center, a masjid, as we explained in detail last year. Remember, Salih? Khairan, inshallah. He says these are the normal general recipients of zakah, but those who are poor and needy come first. They come first. They should have the biggest lot of the zakat fitr because of the hadith that says, not necessarily saying it's authentic hadith, أغنوهم عن السؤال في هذا اليوم. It says, keep them from begging on this day. Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best. Inshallah ta'ala, tonight at 7:15, between 7:15 and 7:30 we'll start. We'll go over Zakat al-Fitr once more, inshallah ta'ala, and mention some more issues by Allah's permission. Wallahu alam.